talking about hoops finally, and football's over, so we can talk about the trade deadline. Yeah, exciting stuff. We have a week off of football. Love football. We're going to get back there. We're going to do Super Bowl show. We're going to do all the picks, all the props, but that's next week. We have time. We're diving into basketball today. And best of all, it's almost the best time of year. I love the NBA trade deadline. It's so fun. It's so fun to try to figure out what's going to happen, and then none of it happens, and you're disappointed, but then other stuff happens, and you react to it. Can't wait. Next Thursday, I believe. I don't know when you're watching this. I think it's the 13th. It's hard to say. Let's look it up so you know when to come back. It's the 10th. Thursday the 10th. We're going to do a live reaction show to the deadline after the deadline passes. We'll break down all the trades. We'll see where everything is. We'll probably do another one of these for buyout season. It's like we have 2 NBA trade deadlines now, the way things are today. But still, I wanted to start today, and we'll do another one early next week. Today is going to be my top 5 buyers. And then we're going to do top 5 sellers next week, early, maybe Monday, Tuesday. And then Thursday, we will do the reaction show to the deadline. And then Friday, we will do football, picks, props, all that good stuff. And then the following week, who knows, so far away. There's the plan. A lot of buyers, a lot of talk, a lot of theories. Let's dive in. Trade happened today. There was already a trade. We're kicking it off hot. Didn't understand it at all. Not sure what's happening here, to be totally honest with you. And you can see my reactions as a lot of this unfolds. If I'm not here, which if I am here, by the way, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the things, all the stuff. You've heard YouTubers talk before. It's gross. It's a weird thing to say. YouTuber. Whatever. At Mike Mush Sports, you'll get the up-to-the-minute ranty stuff. Follow that on Twitter and Instagram. But what I don't understand is why this deal happened. What I do understand is that you'll subscribe. So, brings us full circle. Clippers getting Norman Powell, I get that, I guess. But also, it feels to me like Paul George is not going to come back this year. Kawhi is not going to come back as far as they're saying now. So you're getting Norman Powell for long term, I guess. Normal Powell? He's pretty normal. What's his contract like? Big, right? Yeah. First of 5 years. So this is a long-term play for the Clippers. This is the third guy. This is the guy. And he's good. I like Norm Powell. I do. He shoots well. He shoots 40% from 3. Shoots good free throw percentage. 18 points per game. Doesn't fill it up much other than that, but can defend a little bit. I mean, this makes sense, I guess. But then you look at the Clippers depth chart and you're like... And by the way, they're getting Covington in this deal too, right? Yeah. So this is like... And what's Covington's... What's his contract like? He's a free agent next year, so this is just a $13 million expiring, so they have a little bit of cap space for next year and can refill that or maybe bring him back at cheap because you want a wing defender, which I don't think you really need because you have Kawhi. That's weird. But, yeah, that part of it I don't get. I get that you're wanting to go get Norman Powell. All you have to do is give up Eric Bledsoe. This is what I don't understand. What the hell are the Blazers doing? Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, and Keon Johnson, who hasn't really gotten a chance yet. I guess that's the piece that they want. Because if you're Portland, you don't want Bledsoe or Winslow. Those are salary fillers to match the salary. And you're getting a 2025 second-round pick, which is basically nothing. You can buy that for cash. So why? You're giving up Norman Powell for Keon Johnson? I know you also have Bob Ross there. I don't know why he was there, but he was. He's also there. There. Right there. I'm a Bob Ross guy. The point is, what? I mean, he's a first-round pick this year. This is, I guess they're seeing it as we get a first-round pick and we get a second-round pick. But you're giving up Norman Powell for a late first-round pick who hasn't played at all. I don't know. I mean, he's 19. I guess that's the piece they like. I don't hate it, but I don't get it. What I do now know is they are tearing it down. Like, this is just the first move for the Blazers, right? This seems like this is just the beginning. And this is the Clippers also saying, we know where teams are starting to stand now. This is the Blazers saying, we're done. Dame's probably out for the year or something. He might be traded. CJ McCollum will be traded. This is the beginning of the teardown. And Norman Powell, some people are like, it's just Norman Powell. No, you don't sign a guy to a 5-year, $90 million contract and then trade him for Keon Johnson if this isn't a teardown. So it better be. And you gave up Covington, who's an expiring, just to get that back. I would think you could have got a second-round pick just for Covington as the expiring. So, yeah, I don't think they got enough for this. I like Powell. I think this is a good trade for the Clippers. I think they're building for next year. And if you can envision a lineup with this Clippers depth chart of... We'll get to the other teams in a second. I mean, spoilers, but whatever. I trust you guys. You're savvy. You knew where I was going anyways. Clippers depth chart looks like... Who knows if Reggie Jackson is back, but you put Norm Powell in here. And then you put Paul George and Kawhi on the wings... And you have that $13 million expiring to do something with, which is Covington, or maybe you bring him back. Maybe you get a big. I mean, they need a big, right? So if you figure that Covington's expiring, you spend that money on a big man. And then next year, you're ready to rock and roll. And you still have Luke Kennard, who's been pretty good. Coffey's been pretty good. Brandon Boston and Terrence Mann should take steps forward and fill those roles of the guys that left. So this makes sense, but this is them packing it in for this year. It has to be. And Norm Powell's going to put up ridiculous stats throughout the rest of the year, right? Like that. He's going to get the ball a lot. I just can't believe Portland was... Man, was there no trade market for Norman Powell? You got Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow? Yikes. Eric Bledsoe can defend, but for what? You're not trying to win. So I don't... Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. They must have known that they have to get something for Powell now, and the market must have been smaller than I anticipated. Because I think he's a good player. Good deal for the Clippers, if you ask me. The question becomes, how much more can we talk about the Lakers, obviously, but we're gonna. And who are the buyers around the league? Because we'll do another one on sellers, but sellers are a little harder to figure out because the bottom of the conference is more like, what is the market like for those players? We'll get there. But for buyers, and you can make a case for any of these teams, right? Like, we'll go down the list. The Bulls I didn't put on this list because I think they already have a lot of chemistry and they like what they're doing, and I don't see many holes that need to be filled. Maybe you go get a guy with size to play power forward, but you have Patrick Williams coming back and you have DeMar playing that role a little bit. There was nothing natural there. The Heat have Oladipo coming back and they just need to get healthy. I don't think they need more. The Sixers we've beaten to death, but I did a trade machine on Ben Simmons alone back in the day. I mean, it could have been 2 months ago or whenever it was. So go back and check that out on the YouTube. Mike the Mush on YouTube. Subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. The Bucks, I think, will be buyers, but in a small way, probably more buyout market and just maybe getting like a wing shooter or something like that. But I don't think they're going to make major changes unless they think Brook Lopez is never coming back. Maybe they go get a big, but even that, I don't think they have much to give up. The Cavs did make the list, spoiler alert. The Nets, I don't think they have any wiggle room. They will be part of the buyout market, but I don't think it's going to do a whole lot. Raptors, I don't know what to do with. I think they're just going to stand pat and see what they have. I don't think they know what they have. I can't imagine they're going to be big buyers, though. That would be weird, but they did it with Kawhi, so who really knows? Didn't make the list, though. Charlotte, I think they're too young. They're going to just figure it out. I think they're satisfied with where they're at, be a fringe playoff team. Next year is the year that you're like, okay, we have LaMelo. What should we put around him? Celtics don't know what they want to do. They need a point guard badly. They could be buyers. They could be sellers. They could be neither. That's just too much to dive into for one show, so I left them off. The Hawks are rolling into form after a tough start, so I don't think they're going to mess with their chemistry too much. They already got rid of Reddish to the Knicks, which I think they needed to just get rid of a few pieces and lock down their rotation a little tighter, so I don't think they're going to buy very much. Wizards are in a free fall. They'll probably be sellers. Knicks are not buyers, although I got an idea. We'll talk about that in a second. Pacers are going to be sellers. They'll probably be on that list. Pistons, Magic, blah, blah, blah. Lower teams don't buy. The Suns, I think they're pretty much set. They're the best team in the league by a long shot. They should be the favorites to win the title as far as I'm concerned. I haven't looked at the odds recently, but I can't imagine they're going to add major pieces. The Warriors can, but I don't think they want to. They're still trying to figure out how to get Klay in the rotation and get his 30 minutes up without sacrificing all the role players that were playing well before. So they can be a buyer, but I didn't put them on the list. Grizzlies, I think, are really interesting because they can definitely do some stuff. They did make the list. The Jazz, they never seem to be like that go get a superstar kind of team, and they're already full, although they've had some injuries, so maybe they could have made this list, but they didn't. Mavericks are on the list. I really like the way they're playing, and I'm surprised. I did not think that was going to be the case. The Nuggets could have made the list, but I need to see Jamal Murray come back, and I feel like they might want to see him come back before they decide, and they won't have the time for that. Timberwolves, dark horse, put them on the buyers list. Clippers, we already talked about. Lakers are on the list. Obviously, they're on everyone's list. They're hot button. Everyone wants to talk about them, blah, blah, blah. Have an idea. I'm telling you, I have an idea, and it's weird, and it's wonky, and you're going to like it. Blazers, we talked about. All these teams are too bad to be buyers. So that's how we got to where we got. Lakers first. Look, the Russell Westbrook thing is the elephant in the room. LeBron needs to get healthy. Anthony Davis playing very well. He needs to stay healthy. This team isn't dead. Like, they're definitely not dead. They're the 9 seed. They'll be a playoff team because they're not nearly as bad as the Pelicans, right? So there's no way they miss the playoffs. None. Zero. Zero chance. I'm a mush. I get it, but I'm not mushing that. They're making the playoffs. Can they push up to a 6 seed? Maybe. I think they're comparable with Denver, but just so different. I don't know if they can stop Jokic, but that's an interesting matchup. I do think the Lakers are better than this version of the Clippers and better than the Timberwolves. So I won't be shocked if they try to make the push into the 6 seed. I also won't be shocked if they rest LeBron and realize that he needs to play permanent minutes in order to really get them to where they want to go in the playoffs, if that's a thing. So what do you do with Westbrook, right? And the spot that I think he could land, oh God, it's insane, is the Knicks. Let's look at Westbrook's contract. Now, what you'd want to be doing, he has a player option for next year for $47 million. He's picking it up, right? What you would be doing if you're the Knicks or any team that wants him is just giving role players to the Lakers with contracts that don't all expire at one time in order to get a fat $47 million contract that will expire going into 2023, and then you can hammer free agency that year. I don't think the Knicks are anywhere close to winning. I don't think the Knicks have any opportunity to be so good next year that they're worried about it. And let's pull up the trade machine quickly. And you put Westbrook in, and you put the Knicks in, and you can do something. It kills me to put Kemba in here, but I'm gonna. You can do Fournier. You can do Burks. Just like that, you have 3 guards back into the rotation for the Lakers that they don't have now. And how close are we? I mean, we only need one more spot, right? I don't think they're going to take 4 guards. So maybe you throw in... Man, it's hard. It's hard to say. I don't know how you close that gap. Is that enough? No. You really do need something else. And I don't know. I mean, you're not going to give up a real piece like Obi or anything like that. You just got Reddish. Maybe you just do this kind of stuff to make the salary work. And then you move along. And that works. And the Lakers would be happy to get Fournier. They'd be happy to get Kemba to run the point for a couple minutes. Burks, these are 3 players into their rotation for 1 player. And I think that helps them a lot. And for the Knicks, you get... Look, I like Fournier and all, but it hasn't been great. You can get out from under that contract now. I don't think it's a bad contract at all, but it's 4 years, right? Alec Burks has 3 more years. Westbrook is only 2. You're resetting your clock for free. And that expiring deal. And look, what if Westbrook is somehow awesome next year if you give him the keys and you can flip him at the deadline? I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know what's going to happen in this league. People don't seem tradable and then are. So it doesn't need to be the Knicks, but my point is that maybe the Lakers can pull off something here. And I think this Knicks deal actually makes a little bit of sense, especially for the Lakers. And if you're the Knicks, you're like, what are we really giving up here? Kemba, I love him, my favorite player, but isn't part of the long-term deal. Burks, not part of the long-term deal. And so if it's just Fournier, are you really worried about it? And what are you you're not tanking anything by getting Westbrook because your team's already bad. So I do think there's a route to get out there if you're the Lakers, because the only other way to buy if you're them is to give Horton Tucker and your like 2027 first round pick. They don't have anything before then because of all the swaps from Anthony Davis. That I don't know what that's going to get you, right? Like you're getting one role player for that. With this, you're getting a couple role players. Whether you love them or not isn't really the point. So I think there's something there that can be done. And that might be a pipe dream, but I think it's interesting to think about. Let's move on to our next team, which is the Timberwolves. I think this team can go in a lot of directions. Towns has had a really good year. I thought they could have traded him before, but now I kind of think there's a Towns-Edwards thing where if you can go buy someone else, if you could get rid of D'Angelo Russell, I mean, that's the absolute dream. But this team is playing pretty well, and I'm not saying every buyer needs to be an unbelievable addition, but if you can get a 3-and-D wing to put on this team next to Edwards, and even if you leave D'Lo, you start to look and you're like, okay, they need help defensively. They really can score. They're 4th in points per game. They don't rebound that well. You need a tough 3-and-D guy, either just on the wing somewhere, right? And so what kind of guy is available like that? Could this be a dark horse Jeremy Grant team? I don't know. I don't know if they can fit that salary. But if you can give up Beasley, if you can give up a couple of Patrick Beverly type people, which I don't know why they ever signed that deal, the Taurean Princes of the world, you can consolidate some of these pieces and try to get a 4th piece if you include D'Angelo Russell as a 3rd. And if you had a team with Russell, Edwards, Towns, and you added Jeremy Grant, I kind of like that. It doesn't need to be Grant, but I just think there's something here that this Timberwolves team, by the time they roll into the playoffs, if they're playing against the Blazers, Lakers, Clippers, you start to go, I don't know. If they add that 4th piece, maybe they do pull off a win. It's one game. Towns is a problem. He's played great. Edwards is only improving. I didn't expect them to be a buyer, but I won't be shocked. And, you know, if it's not Jeremy Grant, it could be Harrison Barnes that you put in here. It could be a veteran from the Thunder or something. It could be, there's a couple spots on the wing that can really help, some veteran presence here. I think it could make them so interesting. I've bet on and against the Timberwolves a bunch of times, and I've never really known, I haven't had a good feel for them, but I love Edwards so much. I've been into sports cards lately. I bought a bunch of his rookie cards because he's so good that I don't want to waste this time. And D'Angelo Russell, his contract is similar to Russ in that he's a free agent after next year. If you could find someone to take him and upgrade point guard instead, whew. I mean, what if you could give D'Angelo Russell back to the Lakers in a Russell Westbrook deal? Imagine that. That would be interesting. I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know if it helps either team, but damn, it would be interesting. I don't know if that makes either one of them buyers. But my point is, who knew that the Timberwolves could have been buyers? And I think the Jeremy Grant thing there makes sense. I don't know if they're good enough, and I don't know what they're going to give to Detroit. I mean, they have picks, right? So you can do that. And D'Lo's still so young that I don't think they want to trade him yet. And that's more of a next year thing when he'll be expiring. But I would take a look at them long and hard, and I won't be shocked if they make a move and try to get into that top 6 and be a real playoff team. So that's something to look at. This one's my favorite one, though. The Grizzlies, they have so many options, right? Because you look at their depth chart, John Morant is such a star. Just bought his rookie card, too. Spent way too much money on it, but he's a stud. I don't care. Just don't get hurt, please. Desmond Bane, I love. They can't give up him. Zaire Williams is here to stay. Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams, contractually, Steven Adams, you could get rid of, but I think he's the heart and soul and protector of this team, and you need a protector for Ja. But you have Kyle Anderson, you have Dylan Brooks, you have Conchar, you have Melton. All those guys, you have Brandon Clark, you have Killian Tilly. There's so many people on this list that could be consolidated into another piece that I think you need to think about it, because you don't want to mess up the chemistry of the team either. I get that. But this is another Jeremy Grant landing spot, right? Like, you can consolidate those pieces into someone who means a little more. And I like Dylan Brooks, but I could get away from Brandon Clark and Conchar if I needed to, and Tillman and Tilly and Kyle Anderson, and I can move those things all into a piece that I think would have bigger impact. Who knows? I mean, maybe you could go get a Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans. Who knows what they're thinking about? Maybe you can get a Harrison Barnes here if you think that's a big upgrade. I just think there's something to be done that doesn't completely kill the chemistry. You got to be really careful because they're so good and so deep. But at a certain point, too much depth won't matter when you tighten up the playoff rotation. And so I think you can do something here. Even if you have to give up a first-round pick, they have picks. So if you give up a first-round pick and Kyle Anderson and Brandon Clark for Jeremy Grant, or Jeremy Grant is just a placeholder that I'm using for some of these other people, maybe it could be to the Wizards. Maybe you can get Kuzma or something if they're really dying to shake that thing up because it's been awful. I don't know who it is, but I think Memphis is going to do something, because I don't think you want to let this window pass by, because your depth isn't going anywhere. Like, even if you give up Clark and Kyle Anderson for one player and a first-round pick, your depth is still elite compared to the teams around you. So I would look out for them to be making a move here, and I'm really intrigued to see what they can do. And I'm excited for this team. I really think they can win. Like, I really think they can. There's nobody aside from the Suns and Warriors that scare me so much that the Grizzlies can't beat them. And if they upgrade one piece on the wing substantially, I think they're in the conversation with the Suns and Warriors. I really do. So I don't think they can sit on their hands here just because they have chemistry. I think they need to make a move, and I think they're going to. The Cavs are so interesting because if they didn't lose Sexton, and Garland's been hurt a little bit, and they lost Rubio for the year, this team plays 0 point guards like most of the time. When Garland is out, they play no guards in the rotation. It's just Rondo. It's literally just Rondo. Seti Osman is playing point guard. Okoro is playing guard. Neither of these guys are guards. They've been playing Goodwin a bunch, and he's okay, but like, they need a guard. They need someone who can go out there and shoot. You have the Eric Gordons of the world. You might be able to pry White away from the Spurs or Vassell away from them. Maybe the Pelicans go into a selling spree and they do like Graham, Alexander Walker. You know, those are on the lower end. But there's got to be teams that are willing to deal guards. Like the Magic have their 2 guards. Are there any guards on that team that are interesting to trade? Gary Harris, Terrence Ross. It doesn't need to be sexy, right? But there are pieces. The Knicks, you can get Alec Burks. You can do some stuff if you're the Cavs. You need a guard. This team is too good now. You've realized, like, oh, we're here to stay. They're going to be a top 6 team. This team is so good. I believe so much in Mobley. Jared Allen is great. That pairing makes them big but also flexible. Garland is awesome. You need someone to put next to them, and Sexton isn't coming back. And you could actually trade Sexton if someone would take him as a future project. So whether it's a 2 guard or a 3 or whatever, you need someone who can handle the ball, who can create offense, and can hopefully defend at the same time, and really just be able to shoot threes. Eric Gordon does make sense. I think Barnes makes sense. I like the White thing if you're the Spurs, or Vassell. I think maybe this is like could it be a Marcus Smart destination? I don't know. I don't know what they want to do with that. Maybe Josh Richardson gets out of there. Maybe Dennis Schroeder could make sense. I think the Celtics could move him. I don't think they really love that situation if they go get a point guard, but they're not on the buyers list, so you got to stick to the topics. Point remains, I think the Cavs are a big-time buyer, and it won't shock me if they go big. Like, they should. This is the time. Don't waste windows. You think the windows are going to last forever. They don't. They don't. I feel a draft from this window next to me as it is. Yeah, I don't know who it is. Maybe you get Spencer Dinwiddie. The Wizards don't seem to like him. There's options. You just need a guard. You need a second guard. And the Cavs, I really like. Same as the Grizzlies in the West. I'm like, who can't the Cavs beat? If you go get a good guard and put him next to Garland, and then you have Mobley, and you have Markkanen, and you have Allen, who can't you beat? You can probably, I mean, the Bulls are great. The Heat are great. The reason the Heat aren't on here is because they'll get Oladipo back. Sixers are flawed. Bucks are really good, I think, but it's wide open. The East is wide open. If you're the Cavs, why can't you go get it? You're one of the better defensive teams, right? Do they lead the league in defense? I think so. It's them and the Warriors. So you just need a gunner. You just need someone to get in there and shoot the basketball and handle the basketball when Garland isn't. And you got to be able to find that. So I really think the Cavs are going to be movers. The last one on the list is the Mavericks. Now, they've played great defense too, right? Where are they in defense? They're third. I think. Yeah. Third overall. And that has been so surprising to me. Porzingis has defended the rim really well, and he's scoring 20 points per game. He's playing a bunch. He's sitting when he needs to. His player efficiency is up. This is probably his best year that I've seen so far altogether. And they have Brunson, who I don't think they're going to trade. Like, some people are talking about him as a trade away piece. Why? He's so good. Figure out how to play him with Luka. And by the way, just play Luka off the ball more and give Brunson the ball more. I think they can deal with that. I just think they needed a wing, and they've needed a wing in the 3-4 spot, hang loose, forever. Tim Hardaway is not really the guy. He's a good shooter, and you kind of want to keep him. I don't know what you want to give up if you're the Mavericks, but none of their draft picks really worked out, right? Like, Reggie Bullock is just another Tim Hardaway, both former Knicks. Why do you need both? Marquise Chris ain't it. Josh Green was a first-round draft pick, not really working out that well, not even cracking the rotation. I can't believe they're not playing Moses Brown more, but that's neither here nor there. They need somebody on the wing. This is another Jeremy Grant, Harrison Barnes spot. I know I keep mentioning those names because they're sellers. Maybe this is a Sabonis spot. I mean, imagine that. Imagine you could get Sabonis to put next to Porzingis and Luka. You have the all-Euro team. It would be awesome if you can keep Brunson and you can give up picks to get that. That would be sweet. Like, that's what I want to see. That would propel them to be top of the West. I really think that. I'm talking myself into that on the fly. And I think you can do it. I don't see why you can't. There's a lot of options at the 3 and 4 spot. And the Mavericks have to be buyers. This Hardaway deal might have to go the other way. But that's all right. Like, you can figure out how to shed the salary the other way. Because if you can just slide Reggie Bullock into the Tim Hardaway role, I think that's fine. Mavericks draft picks. This is former. Future draft picks. What do they control? 2022, they have both picks. 2023, the Knicks own. But they have next year's pick. And so, like, you can give up that pick. You can. And they have 2024 pick, too. Like, they're okay. They can package a pick. They can give... if they wanted to give up the 2022 and a swap in 2024, or whatever it works out to be, in order to get Sabonis, I would do that. I would swing for the fences. You have Kristaps healthy right now. Are you ever going to get this again? You have Luka working his way into shape and at the, not the peak of his powers necessarily, but he's ready, right? Like, he's not a rookie anymore. It's time. There's no better time. It's his 4th year. Let's go. Let's go now. Everyone's beatable here. and your defense is playing way better than you expected. You have Brunson, who I wouldn't get rid of. If it's Grant for cheaper, or if it's Barnes for cheaper, or if it's Sabonis for more expensive, this one makes so much sense, and you got to do it. You got to get after it if you're Dallas. So those are the teams I think are going to be buyers, mostly. And we're going to do another sellers show, like I said, early next week. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, as these games unfold, I'll be tweeting up a storm, I'm sure, at Mike Mush Sports. I'll be thinking about more people that could be on the block for the buyers and who's going to move as the sellers. We'll talk about it next week. Definitely come back. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Join the live chat, leave some comments, follow on Instagram, do all the stuff. Tell your friends, tell your mom, argue about it, and tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. Tell me I'm a genius. I do care. That would be great. But most of all, just leave the comments, and I'll respond to them on air. I swear I will. I'll see you next time. We'll do some sellers. Trade deadline's coming. We'll do a live show for that, and then we'll get back into football. I promise. We'll see you then. Peace out.